Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Group Chat, the #1 podcast in the world. We have an action-packed episode, but first we are celebrating International Women's Day. We are talking about Reid Hoffman's hot new startup. Apple just launched a bunch of new products. Not sure what the purpose of them are, but they have them. And I had a recap of my Apple TV premiere. Star-studded with our good friend Omar Miller and so much more. And we end the episode about a big bill that's passing in Florida. And, we have a suggestion for the Florida Republicans on a show to watch to help them come to terms on the passing of this bill. All right, let's get into it.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, Group Chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Happy International Women's Day.
Yeah, huge. I have a daughter now.
Yeah, you're a girl dad.
Yeah. Big for...
I didn't see a post from you.
Big proponent of International Women's Day.
I didn't see you post anything.
Day's not over. It's midday.
Okay, well, if you don't post, I don't know if your daughter would appreciate that. So today, this year's theme is Break the Bias. Unclear. I mean, they explain it. The way they explained it was whether deliberate or unconscious, bias makes it difficult for women to move ahead. So I think what they're saying is knowing that the bias exists isn't enough. Action is needed to level the playing field. So they're saying inherently there's a bias in the way we treat women. I would assume more so in the workforce, I guess culturally too, societally.
Sure.
So that I think their goal there is really to, articulate to people how do you change that bias? Because I think
So every year there's a theme on International Women's Day?
exactly.
Okay, got it.
And I think it's interesting because like one of the things I think people are, especially if you're stuck in the old ways, is being open-minded to understanding that you may have been handling something incorrectly. And so whether it's race, whether it's gender, it's very difficult for a lot of people who've been operating a certain way to now operate like, for example, in the workforce, how women were treated up until pretty recently. And now many women would argue that to this point, women are still treated substantially different in the workforce. But even that change is difficult for a lot of people, especially if you've been around a long time. Because I was watching the Magic Johnson, it's a Lakers documentary. And
Well, it's a show, not a documentary.
it's a show.
Yeah.
Winning Time.
Yeah, on Showtime, right?
HBO Max.
HBO.
And there's like a woman who worked for the previous owner before Jerry Buss. She's clearly like a very important figure. And the way that she was talked to, treated, how she took her hair down, unbuttoned her blouse just to just watching that, I was like, whoa, I forgot like that is how women operated in the workforce because it was so sexist and it was such a sexually charged, and that was in LA and the Lakers. I can't imagine what it was like in the rest of the country or the rest of the world for that matter.
Yeah, and I also think, like, granted, there's a lot of progress been made, but if you see just how kind of right-wing opinionists talk today, there's this revamp of like this masculinity.
Yeah.
Like they hate, like you could see the far right-wing opinionists don't like that there's not this male masculinity anymore in like society or not as prominent. And so I think there's still a long way to go.
So I think you can still promote male masculinity without putting women down. Like the problem is,
the way they talk about it, it's mutually exclusive. I agree. You can have male masculinity and empower women.
Yeah,
like that's obvious. You can have both of those.
Yeah,
but if you just go on Twitter, go on any of these guys' pages, it's like very obvious.
Yeah, I think I think that represents a small group of people. I don't think that represents the most. But I think there's a lot of progress happening. I see it in at least in finance and technology, because those are two industries I pay attention to. There's like serious concerted effort to help, one, fund women businesses, promote women leadership, and Sheryl Sandberg came out today in a comment where saying
She came out of the basement.
yeah, and she basically said, if women were running countries, there wouldn't be war. And I probably agree with that because Putin's war is pretty ego-driven. There's no reason for us to be dealing with this $8 gallon of gas.
But I mean, that comment's kind of weird.
Why?
That if women run countries, there wouldn't be war?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like if I were to think of more rational thinking people, I would think women are more rational.
If Hillary Clinton was president and 9/11 happened,
we bombed the wrong country.
you should have gone to Afghanistan to go find bin Laden. So
Yeah.
you would have bombed somewhere.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know what she would have done.
But my point is, like, I think that's... I don't know. The comment just doesn't sit right with me.
I got a good headline.
Yeah, because she hasn't done anything for Meta or Facebook in 5 years.
Well,
So
no
she
one in
needed-
that company has done anything.
Well, you made some money.
What? Yeah, I did some heavy gambling this last 24 hours. I'll actually talk about it. I saw the Facebook stock got clobbered on Friday and got clobbered again on Monday. So I bought call options. So I'm betting that the stock will go up. But I bought the expiration date of this Friday, which is 4 days, to hit $200. And I bought it when it was at the option when it was at 186, and was able to 3x my money in 24 hours.
So essentially, you had 1 day for this to hit,
Yeah.
given the volatility.
Yeah.
Because the way the stock market's been trading, the swings are like crazy.
Yeah.
So if the stock had gone down, you're wiped,
Wiped.
and the stock went up.
Yeah. What's crazy is
Was
this,
it up at 6:30? Because everything was down at 6:30.
So-
Because I woke up at 6:30, I looked at my phone, I was like, "Fuck, another bad day."
So I'll tell you, the option I bought was at 80 cents. Mm-hmm. Okay. By the time I woke up in the morning, it was at 50 cents.
Okay, because everything was down.
50 cents. By an hour later, it was like 80 cents again. Then an hour later, it was at 99
You didn't
cents.
want to close out at 80
No.
after seeing it go to 50.
No. And then I was waiting for Biden to come out and speak because I felt like he'd say something positive to give people confidence. And then about an hour after Biden finished speaking, it started going up. And all of a sudden, Facebook was up $8. And then it hit $2.50, the option. I ended up closing out at $2.25. This Facebook stock ended up going up today, a few bucks. The option is now worth 71 cents. It closed at 71 cents.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like that much volatility.
You have
and
a
like
better chance of making money betting on like the Lakers Spurs over under yesterday
yeah.
than trading options that have a Friday expiration for
Yeah.
days.
I don't know what gave me the guts to even
Yeah, the
do it.
gravitas.
Yeah,
to-
because I'm so convinced the war is ending this week. Still, I mean, Javier walked in today. He's like, "I thought the war was over Friday." I was like, "Maybe not."
Isn't the war not ending until he takes Ukraine?
Maybe that happens Friday.
Yeah. who
I
knows?
just need this thing to speed up. Either way, it's not good for the world. Countless deaths. Obviously causing insane instability in the world on so many levels.
Yeah.
Like I saw this ridiculous headline. I can't even believe this is like, I have Apple News subscription and the headline was, here's why the Russian and Ukraine crisis is causing your potato chips prices to go up. I was like,
Well, yeah, that's the wheat.
I understand, but it's just a ridiculous headline.
No, but there's a massive humanitarian consequence that's looming, regardless of when this war ends, because I think Libya, Yemen, Egypt, and a handful of other countries, like north of 60 to 80% of their wheat comes from Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah.
So that's a big problem.
I think the other problem, and we'll jump to it right now, is so McDonald's temporarily closes 850 restaurants in Russia. And everyone has cut Russia off, right?
Starbucks did today.
Yeah.
Apple did last week. Netflix did last week.
But the one thing we're also not taking into consideration is all the Russian people who obviously are not, so, I don't know, maybe some are supporting what's happening, but the Russian people themselves are dealing with insane shortage of everything. Like, I mean, shutting off a McDonald's is pretty nuts because I imagine a lot of people rely on McDonald's for food. I'm sure just general, like, there must be so many financial crises in Russia right now. We're not seeing inside what's happening there. Like, how are people getting money? How are people paying for food? How are people kind of just navigating daily life? So not only is the wheat issue in all those countries, but even internally in Russia, like a whole region of the world got extremely unstable in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so it's not an insignificant number. McDonald's represents Russia McDonald's represents 9% of its revenue, of the corporate revenue.
What?
2% of its system-wide sales, which I didn't really understand, but 9% of its revenue and 3% of its operating margin.
So what it may mean is the Russian stores are not franchised.
Okay.
They may be company-owned.
So
Or
I mean,
maybe the economics.
It's not insignificant to McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's 62,000 employees, 850 stores. I mean, how many people walk through McDonald's in a given day?
I don't know. They keep having those signs. It goes 473 trillion served.
Burgers or whatever.
Yeah. 8,000 cows
Yeah,
murdered every 5
84% of
minutes.
McDonald's in Russia are owned by the company. So that's what I guess. So it's significant. But sadly, the intent is to cause chaos in Russia.
Yeah.
That's the point of these sanctions. That's the point of the corporate companies doing this, to force the citizens to turn on the government.
Yeah.
And it sucks because Russian citizens are completely ravaged.
Yeah.
Like the average person, their money's worthless. The ruble's only down 50%. It should be down 90%.
Yeah.
You're blocked off from the entire world.
Yeah.
And all the money that the average Russian citizen has saved is worthless. And unfortunately, that's the intent. It's the difference between going in and like bombing Russia, which is what would have happened, 20 years ago, or if they weren't a nuclear power. And I mean, it sucks. But the whole point is to create suffering so that the government stops what they're doing.
Yeah. The other thing is Biden got on television today and officially announced no more Russian oil will be imported, and then he goes on a whole speech about how there are 9,000 I guess permits or areas that are okay to be used for drilling domestically. Why don't you guys start doing that? And basically saying we're not rolling back things that are going to set the climate change on a different path. We've made our investments into clean tech. We want to go towards an electric future, double down on all that stuff. And so immediately after that, I was watching on CNBC, the Conoco CEO was on CNBC, and he's like, the problem with what the president's saying on those 9,000 plots of land that are sanctioned to be drilled, he's like, that'll take us 10, 12 months to extract any oil out of it. So what is our short-term plan? What's our midterm plan? And what's our long-term plan? He's like, short-term, countries all have reserve. We can release it. So there's talk about all the OPEC countries getting together and releasing oil just to calm the prices down. But the Conoco guy's like, there isn't a plan. He's like, we expect prices to go up again. Like this is not the end of the prices going up unless the conflict gets resolved and things start flowing again. But he's like, it's significant enough of imports from Russia where we'll have an impact on the global supply of oil.
Right.
Which is unfortunately something that like, I don't know how quickly the U.S. intelligence knew this would escalate, but like, given that oil is probably very crucial to like stability in the world, I would hope that they had like some thought about like, what about oil prices?
Yeah. I mean, if gas prices persist at $7 to $8 a gallon in major cities, I mean, the average consumer's just gonna get crushed.
You won't even fill up over $75, and you're
my
rich.
max is $75.
Yeah, I finally caved because I knew the war was going to end. I had to get my gas. It was $120,
You did the full tank.
and I do the cheapest gas. I'm not doing super premium, the fake super premium unleaded that Drama's getting bamboozled on.
Yeah, I mean, gas prices at that's going to affect every family.
Yeah,
They're going to choose to not go on the spring break's coming up, right?
Yeah.
In the next 6 weeks.
you have to drive 500 miles. You know how much gas that is?
Yeah, think about every family's deciding what they're doing. Does the spring break season already start?
Yeah, it's already started.
It's already started, but it goes through April, right?
Spring breaks forever.
Okay, but
It's like 3 months spring breaks.
I mean, airline tickets are going to go up.
Yeah, the fuel surcharges are coming.
So airline tickets are going to go up. Driving to
You know what Alyssa reminded me when gas was negative, crude oil was negative in April of 2020. Negative. For a day, it was negative.
I remember that because the cost of there was nowhere to like put the
because
gas.
there's absolutely no demand.
Yeah.
And I said, man, I wish we should we just fucking load up a hangar?
Yeah, because that was when barrels of oil were like stuck in the sea.
Yeah.
And it was costing so much to house all this.
And then all the demand fell off the cliff.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And I was saying we should just be buying crude oil barrels and just stocking them up in our backyard. If we had that shit right now, we'd be rich.
Yes. But how many barrels can you fit?
We stack them. We stack high. And I'll tell Dom
Just
and
stack 'em
Miles,
in
it's just a playground. Don't worry.
Stack them in the Apple store. There's
Yeah.
a tall ceiling there.
By the way, even Apple knows no one has any money. They just launched a cheap ass phone today. So
None of their
hyping
cheap
up.
phones have worked.
So I don't know why when I thought Apple was launching a cheap phone, I thought it would be like $199. It's $429. That's not a cheap phone.
I mean, everything in there is $400.
Yeah. I don't understand how it's called they're calling it the budget iPhone and it's $429.
I can't imagine this doing well because if you're gonna go Apple, you're just gonna get on the plan,
Yeah.
and do the monthly and get the expensive one.
The real problem with the budget iPhone, in my opinion, is if it looks anything drastically different than a regular iPhone, it's embarrassing. And that's all that it comes down to. It's like if you don't got like the 3 things in the back for the camera, but your shit only has like 1, then you're like, you're the budget guy.
Was this just a random day of announcements? It
yeah,
wasn't
this is-
like
no, this
it
is
wasn't
like-
like one of their formal.
No, it is. It was. So they announced a more powerful Mac Pro. I don't know why I need a more powerful Mac Pro. I'm not making, I don't know, cartoons or anything. 5K Retina, 27-inch screens. Okay, cool. I don't know why I need that.
New colors for the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro.
Apple announces new iPad Air with M1 chips
Does
starting at
anyone
$599.
trade their existing iPhone because of a different color? Meaning, let's say you have an iPhone 13 and it's black,
And you want
and you're like, I'm gonna go shell out another $1,600.
the problem with the
for
color
blue?
of the iPhone is I have a stupid case on it.
Yeah, everyone has a case.
I don't even know what the color of my iPhone is. Let me take a look. It's gray. They just blew it on the color thing. It should be
I got
on like the
granite.
border here or something. What color do you have?
Looks like granite.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand the point of that. But they did have a big announcement. They announced the deal with the Major League Baseball to air games on Friday nights.
There's no games to play.
They're
on strike.
Yes, they're on strike.
That's a
but
stupid announcement. Read the temperature, Apple.
Why?
Announce that once the games are coming back on.
But today was their announcement day. They have to announce it. What's interesting is Apple always kind of like pussyfoots into things. Like they got into content and they put out like 4 shows. I mean,
and they spent a fortune on them.
yes.
Like the morning show is probably the most expensive show
Yeah.
outside of like a Game of Thrones type.
Actually, I'm gonna take that back because I did go to a premiere last night for Apple TV, and our friend is co-starring in a brand. I'm gonna give a plug for the show. It's The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. It's starring Samuel L. Jackson
Yeah.
and our really good friend Omar Miller.
What What's the show about?
So it's pretty crazy. So it's about Omar, who's the caretaker of a man who's suffering from very late stage dementia. And I can't, I mean, if I tell any more.
But it's a series.
It's like 6 or 7. I don't know how many episodes. It's like, we watched 2 episodes in the premiere last night. So, you know.
And where was it?
It was in Westwood, where a lot of the premieres are.
So they like blocked off.
Big,
like this,
it's like old school, big premiere.
like where the CPK is, that little thing.
They had that theater. And it was nostalgic because when Omar Miller, so his first movie that he ever did out of college was 8 Mile. And we dressed him for that. We had just met him a few weeks before.
Yeah.
And we literally went there, gave him clothes, became friends with him. And then for the next, call it 20 years, up until I basically had kids, I would go with him to all the premieres of all of his TV shows, his movies. He'd get invited to some premiere. I would just go. He would do red carpet, and then I would just go meet people. And nostalgia, kind of full circle. He invites me, so I was like, "Ah, cool, I'll come." It was relatively early. Went, and you know, it was just like an old school premiere. It was like big red carpet. Everyone's gets into the theater and we watched 2 episodes, and then we walked out. As it's Apple, so they rented at Baltair and threw a big party in Brentwood.
The steakhouse.
Yeah, in Brentwood, threw a big party. You know.
So you went to that too?
Yeah, I mean, I'm there. I might as well do the whole thing.
Magic Johnson may or may not have been there.
Magic Johnson was there, and what was great was Magic was talking to Omar, giving him love. And
2 guys with electric smiles.
Electric personalities. And, you know, Magic for me is like, I don't get star-studded, but I fucking love Magic Johnson. So I saw them, I was coming out of the restroom and I see Magic and O talking. So I wanted to get a picture of the 2 of them. And that's what I would do, like in the past, like I'd be part of the fun for Omar, and so I was like, oh, let's get a pic, and then he was like whisked away by security or whatever it was. I think he was going home, but it's a very, if you have a family member with dementia, I don't know if this would trigger you or not, but I have like some understanding of what that feels like, but fucking intense. It's extremely well done though. Extremely well done.
That's a big show.
It is a big show.
Samuel Jackson's a superstar.
Yeah, he was hilarious. He spoke, you know, before they aired it, and you know, I think he's in his 70s, and man, just looks great, feels good.
Wow, he's in his 70s.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, amazing. So, needless to say, Apple, great job on the party and the event. But I don't know about your $429 iPhone that you're trying to peddle. And I think even on the MLB thing, you're Apple. Why mess around with MLB rights? Just go after the big one. Go after NFL.
So Amazon got Thursday Night NFL.
Yeah.
And they made a splash. I know it's not on our topics, but they made a splash and have Kirk Herbstreit.
Wow.
Who's the face of college football effectively.
So they stole him, or
no, he's doing both.
He gets to do both?
So there's this whole like renaissance of like the sports announcer is the star.
Yeah.
Like Troy Aikman makes $18 million a year. Or not, Tony Romo makes $18 million a year. They think Troy Aikman's going to make more. He's a free agent. So what do you think Herbstreit got from Amazon?
Oh my God. Yeah. 10, 15 million.
And then he's probably making another 10, 15 from...
And what do you call it, 10 games?
Yeah. Maybe no, a little more. How many Thursday night games are there? They stop at the end, right?
Yeah, there's like 12 games maybe. Mm-hmm. That's insane.
$1 million a game?
Man, kids should try to be an announcer when you grow up. You could do that for 50 years. You could be an announcer.
The way you make it is he actually only played college football.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if he played pros.
Who does Sunday night? None of those guys played football.
Collinsworth played football. What are you talking about? He played in the pros.
Yeah, but that was like an era, like that's a different, those people don't count when they played football. You have to play it in the last 10 years. That's really real football.
But there's massive money coming into this
Mike
stuff.
Tirico. What's he played?
No, but that's the difference. The play-by-play doesn't need to play sports. The color commentary needs to play sports. So they want that ex-athlete to be the color, and they want the just savvy journalist or whatever, savvy broadcaster.
That guy's getting paid a lot of money too.
For sure.
You think Mike Tirico's getting paid $5 million a year?
No, way more.
Okay, yeah. Everyone should try to be Mike Tirico.
Yeah. I
What's the guy? The guy? What's
Al
his-
Michaels?
Al Michaels.
So Al Michaels is in a bidding war right now. Amazon's trying to steal him.
He didn't play football.
He did not.
He was shorter than Eminem. I saw the clip.
He's a steak and potato guy. You know, he famously doesn't eat vegetables. And he's in his 80s.
He looks great.
Yeah.
He definitely drinks alcohol too.
Yeah, and he gambles.
That's secret to life.
Well, all the announcers are becoming more famous than the players.
Yeah. Speaking of the NFL, a lot of news came out today. Aaron Rodgers, I think, signed like some absurd amount of money.
$200 million over the next 4 years. So he's going to make roughly $50 million a year.
And he's 37 years old.
He's 37. To put it in context, his career earnings are going to exceed $420 million on the field.
Yeah.
And off the field, got to be another 100.
And he didn't have to get vaccinated.
He's immunized.
What?
He's immunized. And then I looked up Brady's career earnings. The greatest quarterback of all time, $229 million.
Damn. I don't know about Brady's agent.
But he purposely took discounts to build championship teams.
Yeah.
So his wife also makes $30 million a year.
Yeah. Dual income's nice.
And then Russell Wilson got traded to
Russell
the Broncos.
Wilson, which is like your favorite. So are you guys now Broncos fans? Or are you loyal to the Hawks? Because they suck now.
Well, a few things.
They do suck. Their best player's gone.
Their best player is gone. I think Amanda is the diehard Seahawks fan, and she's going to stay loyal to the 12s.
So it's going to be a rough year.
But they got a lot. It's a haul what Seattle got. They got 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, a Pro Bowl tight end, a shitty quarterback, and one other player.
I'm no football expert, but if you don't have a good quarterback, you don't win.
I've watched every game of his in the last season. Like, he might not be the Russell Wilson of old. I think if you're a franchise where you have a star that doesn't want to be there, and he's still considered a top 5 quarterback, if he's not going to be happy, you're not going to win.
Yeah.
So you have a limited window of when you can get this kind of value. In the NFL, those 2 first-round draft picks and 2 second-round draft picks is the equivalent of like gold.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I think the real reason why the Broncos did it is they're on the cusp of being sold. It's a sexy thing to have Russell Wilson as your quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good business savvy move to now get the new owner into the building.
The interesting thing, the rumor the whole offseason was Ciara wanted to be in a bigger market because she wanted to pursue her interests. Denver, there's no glitz and glamour in Denver.
Maybe she likes to ski.
Maybe she likes to ski. Because the rumor was always Vegas.
Yeah.
So she could like get a residency and do like a show. And
It's
like,
close to Vegas.
Yeah.
All right. Well, whatever. They all made a lot of money.
Yeah,
Everyone's making
Rodgers.
money.
And Rodgers is like largely hated. But
Yeah.
he made so much money.
So much money. It's wild. All right. Well, good for them. Good for Aaron Rodgers signing a huge, huge contract. And I think it's also like he's 37. Like that just tells you like I think in sports they're not devaluing age anymore. I mean, he's the highest paid player, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. He's the highest paid.
Whereas typically in sports, after 30 you're washed.
I think at the quarterback level, Brady just transformed how franchises think about it. He's 44 years old and he almost won the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
Like he could have won the MVP.
44 is insane that he still plays football.
And there's rumors he might go to San Francisco.
Yeah, which would be amazing. He can cruise to 50.
That would be crazy. Well, the rules change, which is why quarterbacks can last so long. You
for
can't
them.
hit a quarterback.
Good. Why should they get hit? Violent sport. Moving on to some interesting news in activewear. Lululemon is finally entering the footwear business. And they're launching it with a cross-training sneaker this summer called Bliss Feel. Starts selling on March 22nd, priced at $138 and $148.
What do you think?
The shoe looks good. It looks like APL. Basically looks like they copied it. The price point is right. I think if they were any higher, I think you end up in like a very difficult competitive place. They're launching in women's, which I think is a great idea. The colors look great. The slide looks good. I'm pretty sure it's going to work. I'm not a fan of the name. Bliss Feel just sounds terrible.
So APL sells at Lululemon stores?
They used to. I don't know if they still do. But it looks like an APL fly knit.
I'm not the biggest fan of this because I think you got to acquire when it's not your core product. Because no one looks at Lululemon like, I want to get shoes from there.
That's why they called it something else.
Yeah, but then you're building a brand from scratch.
Yeah.
And that's really hard. Just pay up. It's like, that's how I always say the way
They should have
technology...
just bought APL.
Yeah, the way technology companies think about things, you just buy the better product that you don't have.
Yeah.
Right? Facebook knew Instagram was the best way to share photos. Let's just buy it.
Yeah. And I think like...
And you keep the brand separate.
And by the way, footwear for Lululemon is an insane opportunity. Insane. Because think about...
But building from scratch, what'd you say the name is?
Bliss Feel.
Exactly. Bliss Feel is going to take years
When
for
you
it
get
to
the new
melt.
Bliss Feels, oh, you got that orange meringue Bliss Feel? I mean, they're a pretty impressive company. That's an odd name choice. Because that means you're never going into men's.
Not with Bliss Feels.
Yeah. Bliss Feels a tough... Like Lululemon just has now been accepted by men in the last few years. Where it's like, it's a staple in men's closets who love activewear. Why don't you just call it Lululemon?
Yeah, just...
Or lemons.
Yeah, they should have
I'm gonna rock my lemons.
What other brands are there equivalent to like APL? I don't even know. Like if APL didn't want to sell, who knows? Maybe APL said no.
Okay, Hoka. That's a multi-billion-dollar purchase.
Yeah. Well, I guess Onnit is worth more than Lululemon, right?
No, no way.
How big's Lululemon? Like 10, 12 billion?
Let's see. Lululemon. 38 billion.
Oh, wow. It's huge.
Interesting for them. I think it's a humongous opportunity considering how valuable On is. And obviously Nike and Hoka. These are all multi-billion-dollar businesses. But I agree. You could have just bought something cheap.
Yeah, because now you have to do the legwork.
Yeah.
You have to hire community teams and get into like... Because it's athletic shoe, right?
Yeah.
So you have to like build out like a run club and this and that, like gyms. You have to like...
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
I don't know about your decision, Lulu. I think you could have done the bot, or you could have partnered with. I'll give you an example. You know, the week that Foot Locker got announced that their allocation of Nike got reduced, it caused like a stir.
Yep.
Because it's like, oh, Nike's focusing on D2C. Nike's focused on D2C. Quietly, I'm on the Revolve site. They have full-blown Nike on Revolve now, men's and women's. And they've had it for women's.
Have they always had it?
They've always had women's, but I had not, maybe they had men's. I didn't pay attention. But I go on the men's section, and I'm like, oh, wow, they have Nike now. And they have Nike apparel, Nike footwear. So Nike's picking who they want to represent their brand. Revolve is obviously just a better look for them than Foot Locker.
So On, the shoe companies, were at $6.5 billion.
Wow. Maybe that's
Lulu should have just bought them a premium.
Nah.
Pay 10.
No, it's not worth. It's just stupid. Those shoes
Why?
are ugly.
But it's a brand that resonates with high income earners, right?
Yeah.
High earning people.
It does. It's definitely their customer. There's no doubt. But to
Right.
pay $10 billion, that's 25%
not?
of the company.
That's how tech companies do shit, and
Yeah.
it works.
That's not how the lemons do it.
The lemons need to figure it out. Mosey on over to the NASDAQ and see how it's done.
Yeah. Aren't they on the NASDAQ? All right. Yeah. I mean, Google bought a company today for $5.5 billion. I don't even know what it does or heard of them.
Cybersecurity for cloud.
Yeah. That means nothing.
No, it means a lot.
What does that mean?
So Google's cloud business is one of their fastest growing. You
I
gotta
don't
keep
even
it
know what
safe.
that is.
What do you mean you don't know what it is? You know what AWS is?
Okay, I know AWS.
Same shit.
Okay.
Keep
same
it
shit.
safe.
Okay. All they're doing is we have a security guard in front of the server.
Exactly. Yeah, they hired our old guest with his guns.
Yeah.
To
They hired the Israeli guy to stand there for $5.5 billion and say, "Don't ever shoot our servers." What if it literally was physical security?
No, but the way cloud's growing, and the only thing that can create a company that is kind of existential as a hack,
Yeah.
right? Any tech company, if they hack your cloud service, you like Netflix. Can you imagine how much Netflix spends on cybersecurity? Imagine if someone hacks Netflix and shuts it down.
Why would anyone do that? That's a terrible idea.
Just for fun. There's hacker groups that are probably trying to do that every single day.
Hackers love genius. They would never do it. Speaking of a new company alert, Reid Hoffman, the famed founder of LinkedIn, which he sold to Microsoft for $26 billion, which that should be enough, Reid. You have to go launch a new business? He's launching a new company. I don't understand what this guy wants to do to start another company. So he's starting an AI software products business that makes it easier for humans to communicate with computers. I don't know what that means again. No idea. But his co-founder is someone we know. Mustafa Suleyman, the co-founder of DeepMind. So shout out to you, Mustafa. He sold his company, DeepMind, to Google for $400 million. I don't know.
10 years ago, probably.
10 years ago, yeah. And now he's partnered with Reid on, I'm obviously not sure what they're doing.
Right.
Sounds like Siri.
But to be clear, we met with Mustafa when DeepMind was in...
They weren't even launched.
They weren't even launched. They were in stealth mode. And we saw like a example of, what was the game, Go?
Yeah.
Right? Is that the game? We saw like the computer just beat the
Pong or something like that.
something
Yeah.
like that. And he showed us this, and we had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
This is way before anyone knew what AI, machine learning,
Yeah.
any of this stuff is. And all we knew is at the time, DeepMind had 60 PhDs working in London, and still unclear what was going on there. And then they sold to Google, I think, like 60 days after we met with them in New York. And today, DeepMind is credited with the YouTube algorithm of feeding you, predicting what you're going to want to watch next.
Yeah.
So if you watch one Joe Rogan video, they can predict the next 5 that
you're gonna be
watch.
interested in.
And they're credited with like the whole ad network of YouTube got so profitable because they were keeping you on YouTube because they
Big
knew what you
AI.
wanted to watch. Yeah, that's the AI.
Okay, that's pretty impressive.
So now he's on to this next. So I'm assuming this is some crazy shit.
Yeah, I mean,
if you have Reid Hoffman involved. So Reid Hoffman, while he was running LinkedIn, he was a partner at Greylock.
Yeah.
And he's still a partner at Greylock, which is a Silicon Valley like tier 1 venture firm. So this guy's doing everything.
Yeah. Take a day off, bro.
Actually, I don't think he was CEO of LinkedIn.
He's
There was
co-founder?
He was co-founder. He was still the founder and on the board
Got
while
it.
he was at Greylock. But
Whatever. He made a lot
he
of
was
money.
working.
Good for him. Everyone's favorite CEO of Better.com, just a popular guy in popular culture. He was known for laying off, I don't know how many, 800 people via Zoom, and basically left the company right after that. They're back in the news. They are now laying off 4,000 employees in its global offices. And unfortunately, they were a tab was made aware on their kind of like employee dashboard, and there was a tab that said severance tab, and it was mistakenly shown. So it showed all the people that were getting fired and what their severance was going to be in advance of the announcement of the layoff, which obviously pissed off more people in this company. I mean, you would figure like after that like kind of HR miss with the layoffs, they would take this a little bit seriously.
Yeah.
But 4,000 people are getting laid off from Better.com. They're in the mortgage business, right?
Yep.
So that and we talked about this, like an industry like that with interest rates going up, on a dime, they get rid of people. So you're talking 4,000 people have lost their job. And you know how many Better.com type companies there are in the mortgage industry that are now about to kind of clean house? It's just I don't understand this company's HR policy.
Two things. One, if mortgage companies are getting slaughtered, why aren't real estate prices going down?
There's a lag. It's going to.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think for the first time since 2008, LA home prices will decline?
Depends on the price point.
What's the price point?
I think
The 1 to 2 million?
I'd say sub $5 million homes with interest rates going up. We'll see a longer time to sell, and maybe it won't go for over asking. I'm not saying it necessarily goes down, but I do think it slows down dramatically. Dude, if interest rates are 4%, the mortgage payment on a $4 million loan is insane. Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, it doubles if compared to 2%. So your monthly burn, and then that means you'd have to have more cash down.
Yes.
So you have to be sitting on a pile of cash in order to.
Which sounds like everybody is.
So real estate's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I do think
because the real estate friends I have, I'm not in the space whatsoever, have all said it's the only asset in the last 60 days because everything's down.
Yeah,
it's still on fire.
I agree, but I think it's a lag because people have already made arrangements. They're the cash ready. They're ready to make a move. So they're committed to the process. But 6 months from now, what if you worked at better.com and you're like, yeah, time to buy a home. Canned.
Yeah.
You're not buying a house.
I mean, rent prices in LA haven't gone down whatsoever. Do you think those go down?
Yeah, I think everything will. Everything, I mean, there's a lag to all these things, right? Like it may be a short lag, it may be a short blip, but I mean, if you're paying $8 for gas, you're going to have a harder time paying your rent.
But in the same week that we're seeing mortgage companies have layoffs, how much was Drake's home?
84 million.
And then the rich and fashionable by $141 million.
Okay, you're talking about
then Brian Armstrong, how much was his?
125. What's up with him? He doesn't have enough money to buy a richer house than Rich?
Probably his 10th home.
I mean, but you're talking
think
about
about the mortgage payments these guys have increased in the last 60, 90 days.
Yeah, those are 3 houses, though.
Yeah.
There's not 75 mortgage brokers on this one deal.
How are there so many? I follow a few of those high-end real estate Instagram accounts, Williams & Williams being one of them.
Yeah.
Every home's over $55 million.
Yes. Well, that's what they focus on.
Who's buying this stuff?
Brian Armstrong, Rich and Fashionova, Drake, our friend Michael.
But I think what you're going to see is that market, specifically in LA and New York, is going to be toast. So you have like these 3 outliers, right?
Yeah.
Like that have an outsized amount of money.
I'm sure there's some Russian real estate going up for sale.
So that's my point. There's no such thing as Russian billionaires as of today.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as Chinese billionaires in China that are allowed to buy homes in the U.S. That's done.
Or at least live in them.
They can't even get their money out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're locking up every major CEO. They're not going to let them go buy a $100 million house in Bel Air.
Yeah.
And that's going to really, I think, disrupt the high-end market because especially if the governments are seizing these homes from all the Russian oligarchs, like who's the buyer? You have no Chinese buyers. You have no Russian buyers.
Yeah.
And in that world, they were probably the 2 dominant in the Middle East, right? So you have 3 groups that were pretty much buying all this high-end real estate in London, New York, LA, even Miami for some, maybe not. But London, New York, LA for sure. It was Russians, Chinese, and Middle Easterners. So 2 of those 3 groups are gone, and you eliminated the biggest group, which is the Chinese.
Yeah. Middle East people are booming with the oil prices.
Right, so they're just going to scoop up everything.
MBS must be very happy. Mm-hmm. $130 barrels of oil.
Yeah, because his supply is fine.
Yeah. He should just pump it up. Isn't Aramco still
So basically, if you're a high-end real estate with a large Rolodex of Middle Easterners, you can make a killing. But if you're a real estate agent with a Russian and Chinese Rolodex, you're screwed.
Yeah. There's plenty of local people, though, that have money.
It's always the foreign money at the super high end.
Yeah.
We just hear about these 3 because they're famous, right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows who Fashion Nova is. Everyone knows who Drake is.
Yeah.
Everyone knows who Coinbase is.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
So I think the ripple effects will affect super, super high end.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if other mortgage companies start letting people go, and then in other markets around the country, because you talk to people in other cities around the country, everyone says their local market is still on fire.
Yeah.
So, I believe that'll stay short term, but I do think there's a lag. It may not be right now. It'll maybe 6 months from now. I mean, if mortgages were flying through the roof, Better.com would not be laying off 4,000 people.
Right.
So they know their business. They could see mortgage applications. They could see where the trends are going before everyone else. So we'll see. All right, we're going to end on a very interesting topic. And the topic is in Florida. Florida man. They now passed a bill. It's called Don't Say Gay Bill by opponents, and the Parental Rights and Education Bill by backed by Republicans. And the concept here is in kindergarten to third grade, basically you can't touch on sexual orientation or gender identity in schools from kindergarten to third grade in Florida. And that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's dumb because gay couples can adopt kids.
So I think
Gay couples can have surrogates.
yeah.
So if you're a gay couple in Florida,
So
your
they
child's
said
not allowed to talk about it?
if you are from that family, you can talk about it.
But why not educate other people that this is an okay way of living?
Because they don't want to educate people that this is an okay way of living. So I think what they want to do
This is what I'm talking about from the top when I said the far right has this problem with the way like progress is being made in these areas, and they can't take it.
Well, I also think in certain issues, so I think it like the comment that was brought up by DeSantis in a press conference
DeSantis
last
is a
week.
disaster.
How many parents want their kindergartners to have transgenderism or something injected into classroom instruction? I think those are very young kids. So here's the thing. I'll take a view that's a little different, that like I think it's very difficult for teachers in general to talk about sex or sex education or sexual orientation from a kindergarten or third grader because they just don't fucking know. Like, how do you even do that properly? We don't train people to have those conversations. We train them to teach us about, like, I don't know, whatever, Indians and pilgrims. They don't teach them on how to actually deal with this very, very sensitive topic. And I remember talking to our friend Eric about it because I was like, also I leaned a little bit more conservative, and I was like, maybe you shouldn't just talk about sex, period, to a kindergartner. Like,
Well, I think the problem is, does it need to be part of the curriculum? That's one question.
Yeah.
If it's brought up in class, what if a kid just raises his hand and it's like, hey, this is how my house
Yeah,
is.
Mary has two dads.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Right.
So that, I think we have to learn how to, we have to educate
You have to
adults.
educate the educators.
Yes, and
how to
that's
have
the
that
thing, is that's
conversation.
not happening. Like, we go to a preschool that's very progressive, and they like educate us on everything. Like, whether it's race, it's gender, they're telling us how to they're teaching us how to talk to our children about these topics. Because even for us, it's like, I don't fucking know. Like, these kids ask crazy questions. Like, we were going to school yesterday, and he was telling me that one of my friends told me that as soon as you become a teenager, your parents die. And I was like,
Who said that?
Dominic. He's like, that's what they were talking about at school, that as soon as you become a teenager, your parents die.
And how did he react to that?
He was asking. He's like, so are you guys going to die? I'm just like, no. But it's like, I appreciate that we do need to have these conversations. I just don't think we're educating anybody to have these conversations. Is the problem. Teachers, parents, none of us are properly informed. There are people who study this all day that need to give us the guide on how to like appreciate the situation and then communicate that with people. And I think that's the tough part. It was like we got our oldest enrolled him in t-ball, so he's playing all day. I wasn't home yesterday, and my wife was teaching him how to play catch. She went on YouTube, and she's like, how to teach a 4-year-old how to play catch. So she watched the video, and like, in everything from like, how do you get them to engage with it, how do you get them to talk to it? But she learned from a video. I think when it comes to topics like this, if we just educate people will feel more comfortable about having these discussions in the classroom. But no one's getting educated.
Have you watched Euphoria?
That is way too dark for me. I will never watch that show.
So I watched the first episode.
A lot of sex.
It's about a high school.
Where's the high school located?
Good question. I'm sure they said. I don't know.
Okay.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
What's going on in this high school? Absolutely crazy. It's everything.
Yeah.
DeSantis' worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay. It is the second biggest show in HBO history after Game of Thrones. Guess how many the average show second season viewership was?
Of what?
Euphoria.
10 million.
16.3 million.
Wow.
And it peaked at 19 million.
That's
it
great.
beat the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones.
I said, I was telling Drama, the guy, the one of the stars of the show who I've seen around town the last 2 weeks.
I met him.
Fez.
So I met him at the Revolve.
Okay, yeah. So
He's a rock star.
Yes, and I pointed out on Revolve's social media, he got the most engagement from that weekend. And Kim Kardashian was there.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you.
And even at Mike Amiri's show, my friends who I went with, everyone was like, oh shit, Fez is here. And it was like Usher. It's like crazy people. They're like, everyone's fanning out over this guy.
I was at the Revolve launch of the Social Club.
Yeah, we talked about it last episode.
But I met Fez.
Yeah.
He's a rock star.
What did he say?
He's just cool as fuck.
Yeah.
He just kept saying one love, one love, one love.
Because he has nothing else to say.
Because I was standing with Mente and Risa, so he came to like say hi to them, and so I got to meet him. And he's in Burberry shorts, Burberry button.
Yeah, I saw the whole outfit.
But you even asked the Revolve team. They said the event was success because he showed up, regardless of all the other celebs that came.
Yeah,
they're like, all we needed was Fez. Yeah,
so Euphoria shows a picture that I think most of America is very scared to watch.
But they're all watching it. 19 million people?
Yeah,
that's not an insignificant
I don't
number.
think the people that are trying to pass the "Don't Say Gay"
I don't
bill
think
passing.
DeSantis, they'll have a fucking heart attack if they watch Euphoria.
Maybe they should. Maybe every teacher should be forced to watch Euphoria.
I think you do,
because then you understand what's actually happening in your school.
So, Bill Simmons on his podcast had his 16-year-old daughter come on to talk about Euphoria. And I didn't listen to it because I didn't want to hear spoilers, but I heard the clip right before their gang started. It was the most important show for their generation. They're 16.
Well, come on.
But I'm just saying, this is what...
He said that or she said that?
She said that.
What other shows are part of her generation?
No, but if you watch the show and you're saying it resonates with 16-year-olds, you're like,
what do you mean resonates? It resonates with 40-year-olds. I have 40-year-old friends that Euphoria's on tonight.
Of course. My
which makes them
my fear
question what kind of people these are.
That's what high school is like now.
Yeah.
If 16-year-olds are resonating with it.
Yeah. Because it's real.
Because they relate to it.
Yeah.
It's not some like out of the box thing. I don't know. It's scary. It's sure scary.
Homeschooling, here we come.
I dare you to watch it, and then
I can't watch it. I can't.
I watched the first episode. Holy shit, it's crazy. Have you guys seen Euphoria?
Of course I'm sure they all watch Euphoria. Yeah, I can't. I'm good on that.
It's basically like every parent's nightmare in one episode. Every episode. Yeah, I've only watched one episode.
There's not like one episode where the kid gets a good score on the SATs and gets into Stanford. No, there's not that. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, maybe Euphoria should partner up with the Don't Say Gay bill people. And,
I think the creator of Euphoria needs to be the educator.
Who is the creator of Euphoria?
I don't know.
How do you know this if you're like some adult?
Yes.
Or is this like a fantasy for this sicko adult creator?
The first episode's blockbuster. It's scary, but it's blockbuster.
It's just them living their life.
And it's just nuts.
Yeah, okay. I'll skip on it. You guys let me know. I'll be with the don't say gay people. All right. Do we have anything else? Any shout outs? Anything else?
I have a shout out. I was walking down Cannon by La Scala, restaurant that we've all been going to for years. A waiter came out and stopped me and said he's a huge fan of the pod.
Awesome.
His name's Leon. Says he listens, so shout out to Leon.
Great. Yeah, I've been running into a lot of Kathys all over. We have a special one today from Richmond, Virginia. Benhaz and her two lovely children came out to LA to, live that life, and they stopped by the pod. So awesome family. Great to meet you. So we are it. That's it. It's over. We're going to see you guys all on Thursday. We have maybe 2 special guests on Thursday. We'll see. Other than that, have a great week. I'm still banking on this war wrapping up by Friday. Would love to have a nice, peaceful run on Saturday. What's interesting is you'll hear this name more, Javier, who started working for us. He said something interesting while he was in the office. We were talking. He's like, yeah, man, I was going for a run today, and I was just thinking about, what if a missile just comes? Like, what do I do? And I was just like, thinking to myself, I'm like, there's no chance of missiles hitting you in Santa Monica or wherever you live.
Yeah.
But if we get to that, we're beyond repair. All right.
If we get to that, we won't have many more group chat episodes left.
Wow, I'll be live from the bunker. the Delilah Bunker edition. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of the week. Happy Hump Day. Happy International Women's Day. See you all Thursday. Bye-bye.
Peace.